Hey guys, it is Friday. So we just finished up Wednesday. We finished up this this giveaway sign, and then we did that little router sled thing where Vicky was doing her. She did actually most of that stuff. Today I didn't know exactly what we were going to do, but here's what I want to do, and this is really kind of spurred on by a phone call I got the other day. A guy that super good guy, retired military, and he's starting to sell signs, make signs and sell signs, make some really cool stuff. But he called me on the phone, and first things first, I have to say that I'm really nervous about making this video, and I'm not nervous because of being nervous in front of the camera, because that's just not me anymore. It used to be way back when, but that's not me anymore. What I'm nervous about is that I give you everything that I've got, because I've got a lot of stuff that I want to share, and I don't want to leave anything out, although I know I will be leaving some stuff out. But anyway, let me tell you about this phone call. So I'm gonna try and do everything that I can to give you everything that I'm thinking that is going on in my mind on this subject, and this is about marketing. So this guy got back from a weekend where he was out, and it may have only been a Saturday, I'm not sure, but it was either a Saturday or a Saturday and Sunday, and he had no sales, zero sales. I think he was at a flea market, and he said, "Eric, I don't understand. I've got all these signs, great looking signs," and he does make some really cool looking signs, and he said, "I got no sales." He said people would come by and they would say, "Wow, you do terrific work. You made these, you carved these by hand, blah, 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 blah." And they would give him compliments, but he wasn't selling anything. And he said, "Forget this, I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm not doing that anymore. Forget those people." He used a little bit more colorful language, so I'll leave that out. And we talked it was probably a half hour we talked. And you guys that have called me on the phone, I love to talk, and I love to give my opinion. I love to help. So we talked back and forth, and I told him, I said, "Listen, here's the thing, is even when you're out there, and frankly, I've had zero sales up in Oatman before. And it is discouraging, it's really discouraging. But I told him, listen, you can't let this one thing, this one day or this one weekend dictate whether you're going to go out and do it again or not. Now, maybe direct sales isn't his thing. Maybe online. Maybe do it online, Facebook Marketplace, or Facebook ads or Instagram ads or whatever. Maybe there's other ways that he can do it. Maybe going out and making stuff for free. There's so many different. As a matter of fact, before I forget, go back and watch Coffee and Questions Marketing Monday. I did a video early in the year where I did that, and I talked about all kinds of different things. So go back and watch that video if you're interested in marketing. Anyway, so we kept going on, and I said, "Okay, well, tell me about the crowd. Tell me what this place is like. Put a picture in my mind of what this place is like." And he said, "Well, they've got this." I said, "Do they have a lot of new merchandise? Are people selling couches and TV sets and a lot of new merchandise?" He said, "No, it's more like that old term, one man's junk is another man's treasure." I said, "Okay, all right, well, then it's a flea market, and there's a lot of garage sale kind of stuff out there. I get it. What kind of stuff was selling?" And he said, "Well, from where I was at, I could see, people were buying tools or whatever, used tools." I said, "Okay, all right, well, so here's the thing." And then we went over his price points, where his prices were at. He was selling signs $30, $40, maybe some of them $20, whatever. And I said, here's the thing, and I'm going to try and stay with my notes, because I was writing down kind of what I was thinking, and I apologize if this video goes long, but again, my goal is to infuse in you guys, or at least spit it out there, what my thinking is. And honestly, I came up with a thought as I was talking to this guy on the phone. I thought, you've got to sell to whoever your customers are. So my advice to him, number one, there's three things that I saw positive out of no sales on that day or that weekend, whatever. Number one, what doesn't work with that crowd? What doesn't work? So that's a positive. In my mind, that's a positive. Number two, he did hand out a lot of cards. He got a lot of compliments. And so you never know where that's going to lead for future sales. So, that's a positive. And number three, he got a lot more exposure by being out there. Even if he didn't sell anything, he got tons more exposure by handing out cards and seeing people and having people give him positive feedback on what he was doing. Even though he didn't get sales, he got positive feedback. That's a win, guys, whether you sell anything or not. Those all three are big wins in my book. Those are huge wins. So, and the other thing is, if he was just sitting home doing nothing, he got a lot more exposure than that. So maybe it didn't work out in this particular instance from a sales standpoint, but he still learned from the experience. You guys have no idea how many times Dad and I over the last 40-something years have tried something and failed. I mean, I could go on for hours just on what we failed at. But you know what? We just kept going. We just kept going. That didn't work. Here's another idea. You got to keep your mind open. So here is some tangible physical advice that I gave him. I said, here's what I want you to do. If you want to give this another try, and I suggest that you do, go out to that same place. And I don't want you don't have to talk to anybody. I'm not talking about setting up. Just go out there and walk around. Find out what does sell. Watch people, watch vendors, watch what they are selling. If they're selling tools, I asked him, I said, did you have a sign that said Grandpa's Workshop? He said, no, I didn't have. So if a tools is a big item within that location, think about doing stuff that kind of goes with that motif. Maybe you're in a spot where Mexican food sells a lot. So, you could have something like grandma's or mama's kitchen, or whatever the Spanish word for kitchen is. Okay, whatever the Spanish word for cantina, mama's cantina, whatever. So, or maybe umbrellas are selling, or maybe shoes are selling. Try and find, do some research, spend a day or a weekend just doing research on where you want to go to sell. Find out what is selling and what kind of signs that you can make to go with those items. So, maybe it's shoes, maybe it's couches, maybe it is TVs, whatever, and create signs, create products that kind of go with what is already selling out there. And I just came up with that off the top of my head, but then I got to thinking about it. You got to know your customers. Then we start talking about, again, price point. Price point is, what kind of crowd is it? What kind of money do you think that they have in their pockets? If you're selling at a flea market in Monterey, California, it's going to be a heck of a lot different than if you're in a flea market here in Kingman, Arizona, or worse yet, Golden Valley. Those guys, if they spend $5 on something, it's they better feel like it's got quality. So that's another thing. When I was up in Oatman, the first few months that I was there, it was all about learning where my price point is, finding what would sell. And I had 0 days up there where I did zero. But I learned every day that I was out there when I didn't do much. I still learned. I tried to watch people and I still learned. And it added to my arsenal, so to speak. So what I found out was that I wanted to have, and everybody's different, so, take this for what it's worth. But for me, when I was in Oatman, I knew a lot of people that were up there that were local. They were looking for bargains. People that were tourists, not so much. They knew they were going to spend money. So I had to have products that appeal to both. So I wanted to have a $10 sign. Now maybe today, that was 3, 4, 5 years ago. Maybe today it would be a $15 sign. So take that into account. But I wanted to know when there was a 15-year-old kid walking around with his girlfriend, that he saw a little sign that had John and Becky on it with a heart, that he could fork out $10 for that. And you know what? Did I make a lot of money on that? No, but I sold a boatload of those kinds of signs. So, but then I had more expensive signs too. So I guess my point, and I'm not really looking at my notes much, but my point is find out who you're selling to. Now, maybe going out and selling on site is not your thing. Fine. Then go to Facebook groups. Find a niche and go back and watch, again, video 100 is where Dad and I talked about niches. I talked to a guy on the phone the other day. He is a retired police officer. He found a huge niche within that community, and he's staying busier than he can. He's got more orders than he knows what to do with, just people that he knows in that community. Where do you work? What's your background? What kind of people did you hang around with? Was it softball teams or bowling teams or maybe sports stuff? You know, if you try to go to Oakland, California, and you're trying to sell signs that say the San Francisco 49ers on it, you might have a problem. So, you know, that's just a little example, but find out who your customer is. You know, there's the other thing was, let me refer to my notes because I'm kind of getting off track here. The other thing was that when I was early in my sales, when I was 16, 17, 18, and out there on my own, Dad was taking care of the shop while I was out doing flea markets and county fairs and that kind of thing. And somebody walked by, they looked at my stuff, but they didn't buy. I took it personally. It was like, man, that hurt. They looked at my stuff and just walked away. That hurt personally. But you know what? It shouldn't. We do that every day. Every day we look at advertisements. We go into stores and there's stuff that we don't buy. But we don't mean it personally when we don't buy somebody else's product. So just the fact that somebody looks at your stuff and then walks away, at least try and give them a card. But don't take it personally, and that was my youth. That was my younger years of my education. Don't take it personally because it's not. Most people don't mean it personally. They don't. They just don't. Another thing that I used to take really personally. This is kind of completely off the deal, but when people would haggle with me and say, "Oh yeah, that's $25 sign. How about $20?" I used to get pissed. I won't go into some of the words that I said at the time, but I used to get highly offended when people did that. But you know, I talked to my dad about it. He said, "Son, don't take it like that. It's not a personal thing. Some people were just born that way. They were raised that way. They have to. They cannot pay the asking price. It literally isn't in them. They have to try and get a better price on it." So that was another part of my education that I learned early on. Now and then later on, I would have fun with it. I would just say, "Man, you're killing me. I can't now feed my kids with that kind of money. You know, I'll have to walk home. I can't afford gas if you only pay me that much." Anyway, so then I get them laughing, and humor always kind of helps break them up. So the other thing is, remember, you're not always going to hit home runs. You're just not. That's not how business works. You're going to fail way more times than you succeed, and that is, I know that's tough if you come from not being an entrepreneur and a business person. That's just it, guys. I have failed way more times than I've succeeded. I mean, not even close. I mean, maybe 100, 500 times more than what I've succeeded. But you know what? You just keep swinging. You just keep trying. That's what business is. But if you love what you're doing, if you love the process, if you love, in this particular case, if you love people. Now, if you don't like people, maybe that ain't for you. Maybe you need to stick to online or dealing with people just that you know. But if you love people, and I do, I loved the interaction with people. Even if I didn't get a sale, I love just talking with them and hearing their stories. I just love that. That's the thing that I do miss not having an operation like that. Fortunately, I get to interact with you guys once in a while when we do a live thing, or even like this. I just love throwing out there my thoughts and what I'm thinking, and trying to give everything that I've got to you guys so it can, and I'm not trying to be motivational, I'm trying to be practical. I'm trying to give you information or my thoughts that literally you can take and you can do something with it. To, you know, I don't care if it's making $10 or making $1,000, but if you can take that and let that kind of spur you to open up your mind to get more creative in how to sell these things. And again, you don't have to sell them. All you got to do is get it in front of them. If I had a sign out there like this at Oatman, I probably wouldn't have to do much sales with it. If you've got a good product, people are going to buy it. It's just a matter of knowing what your customers want, what they need, and providing that at a applicable price that they can afford. And I was telling this guy again, you know what? You've got a great product, and you've got people coming by saying they love this product. But I love high-end sports cars too. And I admire them, and I loved it. I love them. I love, brand new Cadillacs and Lincolns, but I can't afford them. That doesn't mean that, I'm giving offense. So you have to target, price point and what your customer wants. So I told him, you've got people that are coming by, they're looking at a Cadillac, but they can afford a Pinto. So you got to tailor what you do. I'm not talking about losing money. I'm just talking about making something maybe around the $10 or the $15 mark. If you're in a community, if you're in a situation like this where people don't have a lot of discretionary dollars, you've got to tailor what you've got. Maybe they're little stock signs that you can make out of scrap boards. That will be, again, tailored to your market, to who your customer is. And then you may go to a different flea market on the other side of town or whatever, and they may have a few more discretionary. Do your recon, do your research, find out what sells there. It just is a matter of finding out what your customers want and tailoring your product toward what they want. I'm telling you, it'll work. It'll work. It'll work. It'll work. I guess my final thoughts. I'm going on and on and on here, guys, and I'm trying to go over my notes. What am I missing? I guess just final thoughts. Final thoughts is business ain't supposed to be easy, guys. It's just not. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Now, could it be fun? It can be hard and still be plenty of fun. I've been doing this for 40-something years. I'm more excited about it today than I've ever been. Now, I don't do exactly what I'm talking about, but I have. Now I'm doing more collaborations, I'm doing videos, I'm doing other things. But I'll tell you what, if I was, I'm more excited now. If I was going to start my business over and go out and sell signs, I would be more excited than I was back then, because there's more markets out there now. Stinking flies are everywhere. There's more markets, there's more opportunity out there now, especially with online stuff. If you can learn how to do the online stuff, and I'm working on that too. But business ain't easy, guys. It's not easy. But if you love what you're doing, it's not like work. I'm so blessed in the fact that all of these years that I've got to do exactly what I love to do. Are we rich? Heck no. Not, and I can go way beyond that in descriptive words. Not even close. But am I happy? I can't even imagine what it would be like if I had to go to work for somebody else. And I have done that for a short period of time, and it almost killed me. That's a subject for another time. I was still in business. Dad and I were still in business, but there was a short period of time where I actually took an outside job, and it was bonkers crazy. Anyway, we'll talk about that some other time. But my point is, business is not easy. It's not supposed to be. But man, it is like something. There is nothing like, and if you guys haven't experienced it, I hope this for you. There's nothing like making a sign and actually putting it in somebody's hands, or even, it's not quite as gratifying, but when you send it to them and they open it, and then you get that email or you get that, that call that say, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's so much more than I wanted. There ain't nothing like that, guys. Okay. Hold it together here. Anyway, so here's the deal. I'm gonna stop that for now. So go watch those videos. Coffee and Questions Marketing Monday, and video number 100, hashtag 100, where Dad and I went over a whole bunch of marketing niches. Maybe that will kind of get the juices flowing and spur you to do something. You know, kind of open your mind. Maybe you're in a situation or you're in an area where some of that stuff isn't applicable, but I guarantee there are opportunities around you. And there was one thing I was thinking this morning I didn't write down. You know, anybody that's watching me from overseas, stay in flies. I really don't know your market, but I know the U.S. I know all of the markets here in the U.S. So forgive me if I'm not giving you advice for Europe or Australia or Russia or England or whatever, because I really don't know those markets. Oh my gosh, these flies are, oh man. Anyway, all right, so that's enough. That's enough on marketing. Here's the deal. Tonight, 8 o'clock, Arizona time, that's Mountain Standard Time, we're giving this sign away. We're going to be doing a YouTube Live, and we're going to be giving this sign away to somebody that views in and watches us. We're also going to be doing a small version of Q&A. So I want to answer questions. So if you guys have questions on this video on marketing, whatever you have questions on, I want to answer them. So kind of, if you want to tune in just for the Q&A, but you'll also have a chance to win this. And this, by the way, we're giving away internationally. So I don't care if you're in Australia, England, Russia, China, wherever. You know, you've got a shot at winning this. I don't know what criteria Vicky's going to use, but if you're viewing, you got a shot at it. So Vicky's going to pick a number, or I don't know, something. Anyway, guys, I hope that this helps, because that's really my intent, my hope, my desire. It just is. I want so much for you guys to understand and feel what I'm feeling inside, because I know that there's so much opportunity out there to be had. Anyway, let's talk tonight. Tune in and we'll do a Q&A. I love that. So we'll do a live Q&A tonight before we give this sign away. Anyway, guys, that is it. I got to shut up now before I go really bonkers. I hope this was helpful. We love you all, and hopefully we'll see you tonight. If not, we'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye-bye.